welcome to all of you. As part of the NASSCOM Cloud Advocacy Program, we have hosted a series of leader talks that bring to you the latest trends in the cloud computing market and how these would impact your business. In our previous conversations, we have covered themes like hybrid cloud, industrial automation, cloud-related skills, and more. We are back today with another leader talk where we will be covering a market segment that we don't often hear about, and that is mainframes. We will explore the relevance of mainframes in the age of the decade, and we will also understand how this market is adapting and evolving. But before I introduce you to today's subject matter expert, I would like to just talk about the Cloud Advocacy Program. Through this program, we want to provide a platform for both the non-technology sectors in India and the technology sector to explore cloud computing and how it can be a game changer for businesses. In fact, our latest report, that is the future of cloud and its economic impact, estimates that accelerated cloud adoption has the potential to contribute anywhere between $310 billion to $380 billion to India's GDP over the next 4 to 5 years. If you wish to know more about this program, please DM me on my social media handles and I will get in touch with you. I have also shared the link to the Future of Cloud report in the comment section below. The report is free for all, so please do check it out. With that, we return to today's session on the value of mainframe in the world of cloud. It gives me great pleasure to introduce Mahima Trivedi, Consulting and Implementation Leader, Core Enterprises and Z Cloud at Kyndryl. In her role, Mahima leads skills development and mainframe modernization as Kyndryl. She started her career as a mainframe technician, working on multiple technology positions in global firms and specializing in consulting and product development. Mahima has led agile transformation in an organization, and as a technology leader, she is actively supporting the Women in Tech initiative at Kyndryl. Mahima has about 20 years of finance and banking industry experience. She is also an experienced yoga teacher and a passionate traveler. Welcome, Mahima. It is great to have you with us.
Thank you, Diksha. It's wonderful to be part of this conversation as well. Thank you for having me here in this conversation. Absolutely delighted and excited to be part of this. Thank you so much.
But to start off, I want to ask you a couple of questions around why mainframes even today, right? Like you said, it is the age of the decade. So what is the relevance of mainframes and what role is it playing? And the common perception when anybody thinks of mainframes is that it is a legacy system and it was something that may have been relevant or it made sense maybe 15 or 20 years ago. So my first question is, how is this market still relevant today, especially in the context of cloud computing and other digital technologies?
Absolutely. It's a question on everybody's mind. And let me tell you this, when I started my journey as a mainframe programmer 20 years back, everybody was asking me the same question that, how is mainframe relevant like 20 years back and why are you going in this legacy system and learning new systems and going towards it. And now I am here 20 years forward and it is still relevant. A lot of banking applications, 86% applications are still running on mainframe. It's very secure, extremely reliable. And the amount of transactions that it can process, over a period of time, none of the other platforms have been able to provide it. And hence it is still the backbone of the world's finance economy. It's one of the biggest platforms that can be scalable. They can support multiple systems, subsystems, each of the languages, and then go further and beyond. So, the perception that mainframe is legacy, it needs to change. It is already a modern mainframe. It's not just legacy, it supports multiple industry, and we can go beyond and above what mainframe can do and connect with all the systems and take it forward. So we should stop detaching legacy word from the mainframes at all. That is the first thing that we should do, because what mainframe has to offer, as part of the package, I would say other systems have to do something on top of that to build that particular secure platform. While Mainframe in itself as a core itself, it provides all those functionalities. Does that answer your question?
Absolutely, it does. Like I said, I'm one of the persons guilty of that perception. So system is evolving, right? One of the key things that we keep hearing about in the cloud context is integration, right? Yes. So how do you have mainframes that can integrate well with other systems that are based on the cloud, also other applications and other data that run on the cloud?
Absolutely. And this is the key point. I would say in today's world, it is the, the system of choice, the hybrid world where, the systems can coexist, work in parallel and have the right set of, connections to go with. So I would say exposing the Z&I, and I talk about both IBM Z&I applications, are very much possible. And we can do the integration with the hyperscalers. We have the DevOps integration capabilities within the mainframe. I would say there is a management layer that can be set up within the hyperscalers, within the mainframe, that can take care of the integration, of the management, of the security profiles, and so on and so forth. Containers on Z have been existing for many, many years. So the containerization is possible. There are centralized policy-based encryption controls, and there are many, many features, including AI ops, that have been launched as part of the Z16 launch that has happened in past. So I would say the integration capabilities of mainframe have been existing in past. It needs to come to forefront so that the hyperscalers and all the other new technologies can take use of that and have the right set of integration of choice, and customer can take benefit out of it. It doesn't need to be an island. Mainframe doesn't need to be an island. It can very well connect to every system possible, every hyperscaler software possible. And nowadays programmers can work on the modern programming languages on the mainframe as well. I think there is a greater need to use that integration capabilities and take it forward. So there are many, many cloud-like capabilities present in mainframe, and that integration is something that we aim towards, that we need to go forward to, so that we can use the best of both worlds.
Talked about cloud-like capabilities, right? And one of the key points of any integration, especially from a technology perspective, is again, we've all heard about app modernization when it comes to cloud, but modernizing mainframes, what does it involve? Because I think of it as more of a hardware component with, whatever, racks, chips, and everything, circuitry, networking, all of that. So can you just give us some idea about what it takes to modernize a mainframe system?
Absolutely. One of the points that I would like to highlight is we can deploy OpenShift on mainframes. There is containerization that is possible. In the mainframes, we can develop cloud native applications that can be integrated with any of the hybrid environment. We are also proposing the end-to-end DevOps model, not just in the cloud world or in the mainframe world. It is an end-to-end delivery model which can take care of any delivery opportunities across. So that's an enterprise transformation model that can happen. I would say exposing the legacy applications and integrations to the APIs are one of the things that that can bring us forward to the cloud-like capabilities. There could be many other options, I would say, in terms of connecting with the cloud servers, in terms of physical proximity, opening up through the APIs are some of the things. I would say we shouldn't classify mainframe as a single source and the cloud world as a different. While the applications are getting modernized to the cloud world, the infrastructure needs to play along and get along with that end-to-end capability and modernize it so that integration, the end-to-end integration, is possible. And the customers are not sitting in silos where application resides in a different world and the infrastructure resides in the different world. That integration very much should be done through the capabilities that we present with the mainframes.
Also mentioned about how the finance industry is leveraging mainframes quite heavily even today, right?
Yes.
So touching on that point or continuing on that point, I wanted your perspective on how various industries or verticals are using mainframes today, right? Especially like you said in the context of BFSI, government and retail, right? What kind of workloads and processing is happening on the mainframes versus the cloud, or like you said, coexisting? So how are these workloads coexisting both in the mainframes and in the cloud?
Absolutely. I would touch upon a couple of industries in that sense. Say, for example, airline industry. Over 30% of the airline industry still runs on mainframe. Banking is a huge industry. It's all over the world. You know, as I mentioned, 85%, over 85% of the total industry still focuses on the mainframe. It runs on mainframe. The processing power gives them immense benefit, you know, the nightly batch cycles and everything else. It's one of the most secure areas still for the banking industry to rely on the mainframe. Telecommunications is again one of the industries that has been growing leaps and bounds. And in the last couple of years, we have seen new customers leaning onto the mainframe support to, you know, increase their processing capabilities in telecommunication. Basically, half of the industry, 50%, is running on mainframes. I would talk about the automotive industry all over the world. About 60% of the industry again resides on the mainframe and its capabilities. Some of the others are like retail and insurance, and both of them as well, you know, around 50% of the industry runs on mainframe. The idea is wherever the industry requires security, the encryption, the power of the processing, and you know, getting the real-time benefits of the transactions, that's where mainframe has that scalability, the reliability component, where all the industries lean in for the support, so that they can give the right set of, you know, servicing to their customers, and not be having that downtime or any of the processing issues in the background. So that's the point. The reliability is the source of all these industries still relying on the mainframe for their, you know, infrastructure, for their data, for their security, and for their storage.
Let's say because of that, it could be equally relevant to the government sector as well, because their
Absolutely.
privacy and security is the number one guidance, right? So
Absolutely.
how are you seeing usage by the government sector in this?
The public sector, you know, governments, they actually rely heavily on the mainframe. I have seen like the North America customers as well as some in the European nations, they have big mainframe bases in terms of securing the data, getting the restricted access, processing all that information in time, and reverting it back in terms of reports and everything. So I would say that expansion is still happening in the public sector banks or the public's you know, government sector organization, and that continues to happen in the long period of time, due to again those security points, and that penetration in terms of the government sector, you know, organizations where they rely on this security capability and the restricted access, that continues to grow over a period of time.
And we've talked about trends, right, in terms of what is happening, but we also, or rather, I would also want to understand what are the challenges. Like you said, this is a age-old industry; it's been there for almost forever. So, how have the challenges changed over time? You know, what are the challenges that you're seeing today? Maybe in terms of talent or infrastructure or, you know, business priorities of customers. How is that changing? What is it that you're seeing on the ground, Mahima?
Absolutely, Diksha, and you rightly pointed out, you know, being the industry which has been growing for many years, and we are seeing that there is you know, a talent shortage, and we continue to grow, upskill, reskill our candidates, our pools of people to grow in this domain. But we have seen that there is a pool of, I would say, people who are, aging population, and they have been maintaining this mainframe for maybe over 40 years. And they are like experts in their field. But that information, that knowledge is now identified and now getting, transferred to other people, where they can come up to speed and do the similar kind of support for the customers. And that is, I would say, one of the key points, that talent is our key. People are the key in terms of evolving and everything. So that is the major point that I would like to add. We need many people that needs to be reskilled, and maybe be the substitute for the generation that is now moving away from mainframe because they want to retire near a beach. So but, they have done a great work so far. The other one, and it keeps on coming up, is the cost of infrastructure. The cloud world provides the infrastructure that kind of support very easily. It is kind of difficult to maintain the mainframe infrastructure, the cost, the security, and all of those things. I would say some of the areas where the customers can work is the shared infrastructure spaces, where we have a shared infrastructure and everybody can utilize the same infrastructure in a secured environment. And that is something that is worked upon, with many different customers, on how to get to a point where that infrastructure can be binded with the other capabilities that mainframe provides, and overcome that particular point. The third one may be that the mainframe transformation itself is not really part of the enterprise transformation strategy, and that's one of the key, I would say, primary challenges. When the customers decide to go for a transformation through new ways of working in terms of SRE or DevOps, or any of the transformation across organization, mainframe is looked upon as a black sheep in the gang, where they think that nothing can happen with that. We keep it as it is, and we lead the other organization in the transformation journey. I would say it is highly required that we integrate mainframe as part of that enterprise transformation strategy, and it can play a key role for the customers to have that end-to-end approach, not have one part of the organization going leaps and bounds in terms of the transformation and doing new ways of working, and then another part just as it is for maybe a couple of decades, and so on and so forth. So the point is, we need to have that integrated view and get the transformation across, so that both the elements of the organization grow towards that particular transformative approach. So I would say these are the challenges, and I would say challenges exist in every single infrastructure, language, industry, and so on. But there are ways to overcome that, and we should work towards them.
Talked about black sheep, I was thinking about it more like a dinosaur of the industry, again driven by my perception. Question, Mahima, is organization drive increased value with right at the core of their cloud transformation, and what are the kind of partnerships that you're following or seeing to make this happen?
Yes, and very amazing question. I mean, this is one of very close to my heart, because I lead the skills part in my organization as well. So one of the most important things is the people, in every organization, not just Kyndryl. I would say providing the workforce transformation to the new ways of working is one of the model that we are following. It doesn't need to be just a COBOL programmer sitting in one corner and doing their own stuff. As we grow towards this enterprise transformation, I would say reskilling, upskilling is very much in need, so that the workforce also, gets to understand what is possible in the mainframe environment. And I would say the new younger generation that is joining in, they don't want to work in like the green schemes and working on the COBOL code, and they don't need to do it. I mean, there are languages that they can work on, and it could be very well common across the cloud platforms and the mainframe platforms, where they work on, say, for example, Python and Java, and it gets automatically transformed into the COBOL in the background. So I think that particular transformation is one thing that, where the partnership is greatly needed, where the new ways of working could be introduced. The second part, and I have talked about it in past, is shared infrastructure model, to reduce that hardware currency cost is very much that can be promoted. That is a major pain point for the customers, maintaining their hardware and the software currency. I would say partnering on those sectors will help them grow and not be worried about that particular part, that as it grows and as we go forward in the transformation journey. I think that is a key factor to reduce those, the currency parts. The third one could be, I would say, in terms of consultancy and assessment, what we can provide. We are the mainframe leaders in the industry. We have been in the industry for many, many years and are the world leaders in the managed infrastructure spaces. I would say the end-to-end assessment is the key for any customer, and that is what we can provide. Not being attached to any of the hyperscalers is something that we bring into the picture, so that we can give the independent view for the entire enterprise, not just looking at one part and not to the other, but providing that entire assessment and what transformation journey a customer needs to follow in, say, for example, 1, 3, and 5 years to go towards that holistic enterprise transformation and not just one part or another. I think that would be the core of the business going forward. Whether it is a complete transformation, whether it is transforming in place, or whether it is modernizing in place, I think all of these elements should come together as a highly end-to-end consultative approach, and then the customer can decide which paths to follow in the long run. And I think that's the key that we present as part of our partnership.
If I were to summarize our conversation, Mahima, you're basically saying that mainframes can be a platform for mission critical workloads. They provide security, and they are at the end of the day at the core of a successful cloud transformation journey. Am I right?
Absolutely. That's the crux of it. You got it right, Diksha. That's amazing.
To get the complete value out of mainframe, like you touched upon some of the challenges, it will be important to address some few critical areas, which I kind of summarized in as 4 points. One, like you've mentioned often enough, is workforce transformation, reskilling and upskilling. That should be critical. Also, enabling the use of open source and Linux in a mainframe environment, right? So basically, we're talking about maybe mainframe modernization there. DevOps enablement and the development or migration of new workloads. It's all about modernization and integration. I think you can categorize it under that bucket.
Absolutely. Integration is the key. That's a main point, yes.
Talking about mainframe in the context of transformation, that also is important. So no, that's it then, Mahima. Thank you so much. It was good knowing so much about mainframes. And right, I enjoyed this conversation. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Diksha. I enjoyed the conversation as much as you did. And I believe if I can change the perception of yours regarding mainframe as a legacy, I think it can go beyond and we can have this note forwarded to other people and they can change their perception as well. That is the key, I guess.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Diksha.
Take care.